horrific car crash from NASCAR driver Stuart Friesen, who, along with the Dirt Modifieds, competes in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Look at this nasty one.
Straightaway, a bear to the inside of the 54. Bernard sends Stuart Friesen up and over.
This is what's really, when he got hit in the side, that is extremely. The one where he hit the wall, maybe we'll delve into it later, where he clipped the wall coming off the corner and clipped it and flipped. Not that that's an easy ride. When he flipped in the ball of flames and then that other car hit him, man, I think he suffered a broken foot and a pelvic injury. He'll be out for a while. Took him about 30 minutes to get him out of the car, but he should make a full recovery. The other big story, Riverside County, Jose Medina, the newest supervisor, and loser as a teacher, assemblyman, and now as a supervisor, wanted to report, got with the ACLU and the defund the police, and we're gonna put an ad hoc committee to stomp all over the sheriff's department. That went down in a big bunch of flames. We're gonna explain it in a minute, but here, I want you to run the tape. Didn't even get a second on his motion to create his little power grab junta ad hoc committee. Here we go.
Vote in favor of it. In fact, I asked Supervisor Washington to join on the ad hoc committee. And thank you all again for being here today.
Thank you, Supervisor. Okay, any other last thoughts from my colleagues? Otherwise, if not, is there a second on this motion? Okay, seeing none, the item dies, and I just hope that the conversations do continue.
That's a big one. When you don't even get a second and a vote on your motion in your little junta ad hoc committee, Jose, if you want a transparency, like I said, do some study sessions. If you want to run an examination of the sheriff's department or have some discussions, call a study session with all 5 supervisors and let it get out there. All these calls for ad hoc committees and stuff are just a way for supervisors to duck their responsibility, and they want to hide behind Brown Acts or something. When you're doing it in a study session, you don't have to worry about Brown Acts because everybody's there. Let's work together to beat this stuff and actually put some transparency and accountability into government instead of hiding behind committees, which 98.7% of the time, you're trying to bury it or push an agenda. It's BS. There's more stuff that we'll get into more of it here later on before I get too wrapped up. Here's the other one. Oh, there's a side shot of Stu Friesen's crash. With that, you see it going down there. Boom! That was a nasty, man. And that second hit, that's what really did the damage on that. There's a still picture of him. Took him about 30 minutes to cut him out of the car. I imagine his leg was wrapped around something inside the chassis. That's why it took him so long, because he did suffer a broken leg, but that's speculation on my part. $1 million jewelry taken from Rancho Cucamonga warehouse after burglars rammed gate with a van. CBS 7 report. Review.
Police are searching for thieves behind $1 million heist, and it was all caught on camera. Security video shows they broke into a local warehouse and made off with a fortune. KCAL's Joy Benedict reports the owner is offering a major reward to get the pieces back.
Quite a heist in Rancho Cucamonga. Burglars busting through this warehouse door. And 4 minutes later, driving off with what owners say is $1 million in jewelry.
Super shock and...
How much you want to bet the van was stolen, too, that they used to ram the building with? It's out of control around here. Another one, Justin Grant. on Indiana Sprint Week. He suffered a broken foot, I believe, on this one. Here's another nasty.
Passing us Energy start cam, we're back underway. And a massive crash to start things here on the restart. 3 cars flipping wildly down the front straightaway.
Again, Justin Grant suffered some injuries from that broken left foot. He should recover, though, fully from that, like Stu should, but they'll be out for a while on that. 38 neglected dogs were found in a California home, felony charges. Man, there's no need to abuse animals or children. Sometimes this stuff is too heartbreaking. Special Monument in Riverside honors veterans who have earned Medal of Honor for their service. ABC 7 report.
The Riverside National Cemetery is home to the only Medal of Honor memorial in the country. Every single detail about this memorial has been thought out, from the materials and colors to the layout of the building. And our Rob McMillan spoke to the mastermind behind this unique memorial in tonight's ABC 7 Salutes.
At the south end of the Riverside National Cemetery sits the Medal of Honor Memorial, a monument listing the names of the more than 3,500 members of the armed forces to earn this honor, and it's the only one of its kind in existence right here in Southern California.
This is the only place in the nation where every recipient of the Medal of Honor is enshrined by name at a single location that is publicly accessible and owned by the people of the United States.
Michael Goldware came up with the idea for this memorial, dedicated in 1999.
Actually, I know Michael Goldware fairly well, and there's some people disputing that there was other ones, but I don't know. I mean, I'm going to take them as their word. It's the only one in the nation. And even if it's not, that's a good thing to go check out and pay honor to the Medal of Honor winners for the memorial at Riverside National Cemetery. This whole CNN fiasco that has went on, you know, they keep it up. Clearly, this New York shooter they're listing as a possible white suspect, like the Maryland dad. Trump fell on stage. Biden was sharp as a tack. This is CNN. Obviously, darker on the skin tone, brown, commonly referred to as black. Listen to this CNN report.
They do know what he looks like. Sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white. And they...
Possibly white? Possibly white? No wonder they have zero. Less than zero, negative 111% credibility. Riverside, they released body cam of that shooting over there off of Troutwine in Riverside at a bar patron allegedly armed with 2 guns. ABC 7 report, here we go.
Video from a police shooting back in May. The incident happened after a bar owner called 911 to report a man who was drunk and showing 2 handguns in his waistband to other patrons.
I got a customer that showed up here kind of drunk already, and he's brandishing. He ended up pulling one of them out and put it on the counter.
This happened on May 8th outside Shindig's Country Kitchen Bar and Stage on Troutwine Road. The owner escorted the man out of the building. Police responded a short time later and commanded him to sit down as he reached for his waistband.
Sit on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground right now.
Sit down. Get down. Don't get in the car. Don't get in the car. He's reaching for his waistband.
Pretty intense there. The suspect, 28-year-old Isaac Ambriz from Santa Ana, was taken to the hospital with a head injury. He was medically cleared and booked 2 days later. Video shows officers finding an empty holster on his waistband. Police say he dropped one of his weapons while being escorted out of the bar. He's faced...
You know, if you got weapons and the cops show up, if you don't follow their commands 111%, you're most likely not going to like the result. More on this as I'm sure we'll have more on this as we go. Torrance homeowner chases down burglary suspects.
In Torrance, and that's where Fox 11's Ed Lascos joins us live with the latest on that. Ed.
Susan, you were right about that. We are talking about a broad daylight burglary in Torrance. It goes down last Saturday, and remarkably, as the burglars are coming out of the house, the homeowners come back home, and there's a face-to-face confrontation, and then this happens. To the video we go, security video. They confront it, and then the burglars, they scatter. They scatter like roaches in your kitchen, running in all different directions. That's the mom of the family. She's chasing them down the alley. They get in their getaway car. They make a clean getaway, almost being T-boned by a passing vehicle as they blow through that intersection. But the damage already done at this point. Look at that. The running, trying to chase them down. They just can't. They try to get the license plate. Yeah, they can't. And there's there's
Scattering like roaches. You gotta love Ed Lascos of Channel 11. Nobody does it better or more entertaining than Ed of that. And that's for pretty brave people to chase them down. You know, I mean, I hope they were armed when they were doing this, because, man, that can backfire on you like something else. It's really not recommended, I would say, doing that kind of stuff without the proper, my view, at least me, without the proper equipment to keep yourself safe. Got much more to come up with and cover on today's program. I got 9,000 things to do, and I'll probably get to 3 the rest of the hour, but here we go. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5, and UFB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, Roy Blecker channel, all the good stuff. I cannot almost fathom what went down at Riverside County Board of Supervisors today. With all the, and the ACLU defund the police have been, since Medina got elected and sworn in on January this year, they've been down there practically every meeting, wanting this, that, and the other oversight, and Sheriff Chad's doing this and Sheriff Chad's doing that. And there may even be some, I'm not saying the sheriff's deputies, the sheriff's department, even Sheriff Chad are doing everything 111% perfect. But going about it the way they're trying to do it with the ad hoc committees and all that, that's just a political power grab. Like the old saying, and I said in my public comments, you want to really foul it up, form a committee. If you want nothing done, form a commission. We have processes in place. And again, like with some of the other comments on Harmony Haven, the foster kids, the dollars going on in the medical industry, the increasing costs we pointed out in housing costs and affordability. These guys don't look at the macro. They don't fly at 80,000 feet and look at overall, which is their job, which is what the Board of Supervisors are supposed to do. Once they make the decision, then it goes down to the staff to carry out their directive. When the Board of Supervisors try to micromanage everything it's really going to get fouled up. Now, whether you love Sheriff Chad or hate him or any other elected official, your remedy is the ballot box. We used to, well, we still do have a recall provision brought to us by Hiram Johnson, the populist from 100 years ago, knows mainly for the railroads and stuff. They were controlling the legislature with their money. Sure, Gulag Gavin Newsom basically destroyed that with the kook legislature we got. I don't remember if Medina was still on. He might have been, because I think he went out in 22. Yeah, because that's when Corey got elected. He might have voted for this. But they basically got rid of the horse pool rule, which came from my native area, Moreno Valley, California, where David Horspool was recalled, and 30 days later was reinstated as a Moreno Valley City Councilman. They changed the rule in that in 88 to where the recall election was held at the same time as the replacement. So if the candidate or the office holder was recalled by 50% plus one, then the other and he couldn't run, he or she couldn't run. The other candidates, if the recall was successful, then the winner of the rest of the candidates filled out the term of that. Newsom and company, after the 21 recall of Newsom, stripped all that. Basically, it goes back, it basically gutted the recall law. So you don't even know, you basically don't have that provision anymore. And that's, I bet you, 98.7% of the complainers voted for Newsom and the legislators that passed this. So they took away a tool you had. If you didn't like Sheriff Chad, recall him. Well, try to do that now. Now you got to wait till 28, or if he gets elected governor, which I think is a pretty long shot, but hey, you never say never in politics. If he gets elected governor in 26, then we'll have, I would imagine the way it goes, the supervisors might appoint a sheriff. But that would be after the election of that, which we got 3 supervisors up. But there's a lot of quirky things that go on with this whole deal. And we'll cover them a little bit when we get here in about 5 minutes when we click into KMET. I want to get those folks involved in it or let them know what's going on. But the other thing is this shooter from Southern California via Las Vegas is carrying M4 down in Manhattan into the office building. Now they're saying this cat was going after the NFL. First, we played the clip of CNN like we got. Oh, possible white suspect, right out before we even knew what was going on. Possible white suspect. On top of that, he had a CCW, concealed carry permit, issued in Las Vegas. So again, I would say, and my contention is, concealed carry weapons permits are unconstitutional. You have the right to keep and bear arms. The government has to make a compelling reason why you should not have a firearm, i.e., you're dangerous to yourself. You're in jail. Very, very limited. There really should be no. You shouldn't have to ask the government for permission to keep and bear arms no matter where you're at. In your home, out in public. Now they're trying to say he was going to the NFL. Now they're saying, and the NFL is in that building, along with Blackstone, which is another deal. you know, the conglomerate that's bought up tons of real estate in the last decade or so. But the floor, he went up to the 33rd floor. The NFL ain't even nowhere near that. Said he had mental problems. How do you get a CCW if that's the case? And you actually, there might have been a legit reason why this guy was a danger to himself. Well, he got a CCW anyway. How many more of these are going? That's what I'm saying. All this stuff, they use the concealed carry weapons permit as a way to violate your constitutional right to keep your bear arm. We the people. We the people. Declaration of Independence, Constitution, Second Amendment to the Constitution. To protect your First Amendment right of free political speech and defend yourself, and most importantly, you read the Federalist Papers. They put that in there so the citizens would have a defense to protect themselves from a takeover and a stripping of their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by a tyrannical government. Jerry Moonbeam Brown, who had a concealed carry permit for a 45, and they asked him, well, yeah, do you have one? He said, yeah. And I mean, you know, and Brown got about like a C rating from the NRA. He was not necessarily probably at the scale I am, but he wasn't a totalitarian, no guns, no nothing, da-da-da-da-da. He said any gun the police should have, the citizens should have. And that I agree with Jerry Moonbeam Brown. If the cops, law enforcement in the United States are allowed any type of weapon, the citizens should be allowed to have that same weapon. More on that, but that's, again, all these fallacies, and there's no perfect world. Yeah, there's going to be some bad consequences happen if we go back, like Roy wants to, the white hillbilly or Wild West days, or a bunch of out-of-control white men that are doing this, that, and the other. But ultimately, the overall greater good is going to be if you have, for all sorts of reasons, your right to keep and bear arms are not going to be infringed. And all these stupid laws and all this other stuff
20 seconds, 20
are
seconds.
just there to take that freedom and that security away from you. As Jesse said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met here in a few seconds. We'll pick back up with what happened to the County Board of Supervisors and more stuff. Maybe
2 seconds. Here we go.
2 seconds. Here we go.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMEP, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check us out, subscribe on that. Again, got to put this up. CNN reports that dude who's deader than a doornail, the shooter in New York City, walking down Manhattan with an M4 long gun, kills 5, one of them being a police officer. Now they're trying to say, well, he was mad at the NFL or something. He was. Well, they weren't even close to that floor. He's up on the 33rd floor. We'll have to wait and see. But CNN and reported right off the beginning, well, possible white suspect. When there could be nothing. The pictures, I'm looking at, when they said that, I'm looking at the pictures of the surveillance cameras picking this guy up walking in. Thinking they got to be crazy. This is what we've been talking about. The hate, the destruction, the straight white male. And they've got to do that because I don't give a crap where you go or what you do. For the most part, 98.7% of all your freedoms, especially in the building, and the starting, and the guts, of those evil white boys in 1776, going through today. And they know in order to sell you a totalitarian, communistic, you're going to be in control society, you're going to be controlled society, and you're going to be a serf, and you're going to be a slave to the oligarchs. That's what they got to do. No wonder CNN is losing, bleeding, almost a non-entity anymore. We'll see how this goes. Again, he had a concealed carry permit with mental issues, as I said at the beginning or just before this. CCW's concealed carry weapons permits are designed to take away your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. The government should have to make a compelling case of why you should not have a firearm, not give you the permission to have one, and carry it wherever you like for your own protection, and more importantly, as in 1776, protection once we fought and got life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Washington, Jefferson, Paine, Madison understood in order to keep that, the citizen, the sovereign citizen, had to have firearms to protect those liberties from being taken away. The other big story that happened here in the IE, the Inland Empire, was on the docket at Riverside County. Jose Medina, longtime failed teacher, Riverside City College member, assembly member, and now supervisor of District 1, Riverside County. And anytime, Jose, you want to come in studio and have a discussion about it, your failure as a teacher, your failure as a legislator, your failure as an elected politician, please come in and we'll have the discussion. Just like your failure today, ever since he got elected supervisor and sworn in at the first of the year in 2025, he said the ACLU defund the police. Down there at the Board of Supervisors, the cops are mean, the jails are corrupt, Sheriff Chad's an idiot, totalitarian dictator, murderer, whole frickin' deal. He puts together, and they've been saying, we want oversight and we want that. with no real discussion or framework for how this was even going to work. He just rolls it out, finally, because he's getting pressure from people that got, or, that supported him in the election, in my view. So we're looking at one of the key deals, and this, as we did on the cold open, your other colleagues, if they want to send a big FU and you put something on the agenda and you make a motion to pass it, and it's got to get a second from one of the other four to get a vote. He didn't even get a second. Even from, as you see, chairman, president, running the meeting, which we'll get to in a second, Victor Manuel Perez. Who served in the assembly with Jose Medina, as you see. In the California Assembly. One of the great things about transparency and accountability and having the meetings televised is you get to do this. You get to see, you get to participate. Great of the Constitution of the United States, as my shirt has on. We the people. Now, and this was not this was pointed out by the ACLU Defund the Police crowd, the ones that have opposite position of Roy and many others down there. Victor Manuel Perez, the chairman, moved this all the way to the bottom of the meeting. When the majority of the people, I think 76 people had showed up to speak or wanted to comment on this issue. So usually when you have a hot item or something everybody's there for, you move it to the front of the meeting. It is the ultimate in disrespect, Victor, to move that all the way to the bottom of the meeting. Whether the strategy was to see if you could run off those who were opposed to the ad hoc committee, and maybe you could get some support, which you ultimately didn't, but you saw your other colleagues weren't voting for it. And I don't know why Estienne Gutierrez, the X-Man, bolted. He wasn't even there. He was there at the beginning of the meeting. But the other three that were there said, we're not voting for it. Or the other two, would have had to have he would have had to have at least one of Karen or Chuck Washington and said no. So Victor kind of done that. But whatever your motive, whatever reasoning you had for moving that to the bottom of the meeting, as Jose's supporters said, was total BS. But here's Medina opening up the meeting. On the ad hoc committee to consider the establishment of the Sheriff's Department Oversight Committee, an officer of Inspector General.
Several years, the number of deaths in the jails, the number of lawsuits that have been in front, and the number of lawsuits that have been settled by the Board of Supervisors, by the county, indicates that we need this oversight committee. I think it is good government. I think it is our fiduciary responsibility to have oversight and again, good government. Government works best with transparency and accountability. That is what this measure tries to do. So with that, I join the chair in asking everyone to be respectful of each other and their points of view, and I hope that we can have a good discussion here. And at the end of the day, I hope that we can establish an ad hoc committee to consider the creation of sheriff's oversight and inspection.
That really the only.
So no, they did not. You got beat you couldn't get any of your colleagues to support you in this, Jose. Again, the sheriff's just, Chad explained this. We had a spike in them in 2022 because of drugs. They returned to normal death rate. Most of them, natural causes, drugs. One guy ate a bar of soap or something, I don't know. If there's a problem, let's get it out. But the Board of Supervisors should be holding a study session if they want to look into whatever, and if they want to investigate or whatever, do with Sheriff Chad, fine. Roll them up there. Let's have a 2-hour meeting. Let's have public comment. Ask all the questions you want. Let Sheriff Chad give his side of the story. Let Jose make his points, and Karen, Chuck E. Cheese, Victor Manuel, X-Men. Let them make their points. Do your job. Don't try and fetter it off to this or try to score political points or make a political power grab or grandstand or whatever like normal politicians and try and say transparency, accountability. You're doing nothing but. You're hiding behind. My head wants to explode every time I hear those terms anymore. They mean nothing because your actions of what you're doing are anything but what you're saying. Quit lying and deceiving the public. Again, Sheriff Chad, the Sheriff Deputy, nobody, and even Parrish the Thought myself, is not perfect. We don't do everything 111% perfect. There's always can be room for improvements and made safe. But you guys, all 5 of you on the Board of Supervisors, you want to talk about public safety or this? 12 frickin' hundred jail beds in Indio, never been occupied, brand new. They're only supporting real cockroaches instead of the cockroach criminals that should be in there. If they had any inkling of public safety, and Sheriff Chad and the Undersheriff the Sharp asked for the money this time out of a $10 billion budget to fully open the beds finally, get the facility fully open so we, the people, can be safe in our communities. The criminals will finally be off the streets, like we were when we did 3 strikes. And now we're coming back to that with Prop 36. And you see from the reports from Hemet cops, Rancho cops, every other cop, shop, they're now cracking down on retail theft because now they know that we can do something, but we need the jail space to put the criminals in so we don't have to release them. Here's one clip from Sheriff Chad. Here we go.
Arguments and maybe a couple of even, we'll call them fights, that I have had with the board came with Supervisor Spiegel. So this notion that somehow, whatever you're getting is very, very misled. And it goes exactly to my next comment. For years, you have all known about the Sheriff's Advisory Council. You picked them. I didn't pick them. You did. From the initial meeting, when we told them what the agenda was, we told them what we were going to do, we told them what the mission was and everything else, for them to be the eyes and the ears and the conduit from the public into law enforcement. The reason why I refuse to give you their names is because from week one, when their names did get out, they were absolutely attacked by the activists that we have here, and not only them, their children in school. So I'm not going to give you their names. I was very surprised, thank you very much, to see them show up here today.
A couple of them did. They're getting harassed. No wonder this is by the activists, as Sheriff Shad, they were screaming, been screaming, all this stuff that's going on. We already have a sheriff's advisory committee that we set up that was going to look at all this stuff. And now, well, no, that's no good. Where do we have any confidence? You, the Fab Five, those exalted ones, the kings and queen of Riverside County sitting up there on the dais at the Board of Supervisors, have any ability to fix any of this stuff? We'll get into the Harmony Haven and the foster kid disaster in today and tomorrow, or tomorrow and Thursday, maybe Friday. The disaster of them jacking home prices up, healthcare costs, and everything else. And again, fine and dandy, you want to give me a minute to talk? And the rest of us to talk? Why don't you come in here? We'll go for hours. Victor, Chuck E. Cheese, Queen Karen, X, No Way Jose. We'll air it out. Give you plenty of time to make your points, bring in your stuff. Let's have a discussion. Let's have an honest discussion about this. And again, like anybody, everything can be improved. Nobody's immune to criticism. In fact, it's actually welcome how if something's going wrong, you don't fix it by ignoring it. So if you think something's going wrong or you think this is, do your job, supervisors. You're getting paid compensation package over $250,000 a year to sit up in those 5 seats. Do your frickin' job. Learn how to do it efficiently, simply, efficiently, and effectively, not trying to run us through Fisher's fence, jack us around at the meetings. No, not one of you other four spoke up to Victor when he said that and said, hey, that's BS. We should, if anything, we should move 3.82 this thing up to the front because that's what most everybody's here for. There's a lot to unpack. In this whole enchilada. And again, we'll deal with the other items in the coming days here. Hopefully we'll get them flushed out this week because they're very important. But again, here's what it's like. They make the emotional plea. Oh, we're gonna save one puppy dog and one kitty cat. But we're gonna damage or make the lives of 10,000 of them live in hell. Never let the perfect get in the way of the greater good. And they try to do this. They make the emotional play. We're going to help. I'm going to help the person you're helping is going to say in the initial, is going to say, yeah, it's great. Then 10 years after you've hosed the other people, 10, 100, 100,000, then that person's going to lose whatever benefit you gave them today because it was unsustainable. unsustainable. And it took away people's ability to afford homes, have health care, have public safety, let their kids go out to play, not have to helicopter parent them, and be scared to death 24/7, 365 that something may happen to your kid because we have this society that they have, well, we have allowed them to disintegrate into what it is today. And that's what's most heartbreaking about this whole thing. Over everything else. Maybe we'll get our act together someday. I hope so. We either will, or I can guarantee you, if we don't, you ain't gonna like the results of that today. Hit some of the locale genre party with the Corona Police Department. Now that sounds like a hell of a time. National Night Out's coming to Corona in most places, August 5th. You can go out there and talk to public safety. There's all sorts of different events. Most cities and territories have them. You get to interact with the cops, the firefighters, the ambulance guys, who always get the short end of the stick. They're part of our public safety too, this whole thing, yes. This drives me nuts. We got to eliminate this stuff. A white suspect. CNN. Jeez. Told us, oh, Slow Joe, the greatest president in that. Redlands Police Department, with their crime mapping for Monday, July 28th. Here we had that, the 38 neglected dogs found in California, felony charges filed. They probably can't be severe enough for that. But we got to have jail space to put these criminals in who do this stuff. This is going to keep happening. There we had the $1 million jewelry heist in Rancho Cucamonga where they ran through. We had that in the cold open. Go watch that on IE Newswire. From that, five-finger discount busted in a 5-pack. 5 criminals on theft got arrested in Eastville. It was posted by Eddie George from Action Eye News. Horriffic Valley homicide, 2 arrests. Now, a Bloomington and a Horriffic Valley man have been arrested in that case. The 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit's got that case of whether the ICE and the Trump administration have been targeting people. That one they might lose just because of the makeup of the judgment. You never know till the decision comes down. But they're not out of bullets. They can appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court since it's a federal issue. San Bernardino police reported to a shooting at the Elks Club in Arrowhead. Attorney General sues notorious San Bernardino landlord, slum-like conditions, tenant exploitation. We had that on the cold open. The Riverside National Cemetery is home to the only Medal of Honor memorial in the country. Now, some people are saying not, but hey, that was, according to Channel 7, that's what they said. Don't shoot me. Riverside man arrested after stolen vehicles, weapons, drugs found during search warrant. A prison guard's attacked by an IE man with violent history. He was a sexual offender. Stabbed, or allegedly stabbed, 2 prison guards. Holy cow. Riverside police struck mentally ill man with fists after he died in the hospital, videos show. Or that's what's alleged. Let's put it that way. Video shows man who showed up guns to Riverside patrons before officer shot and injured him again. My best advice, recommendation, comply with police commands or you're probably not going to like what happens next. There's that same thing, the Eastville Special Enforcement Team who got the Fab 5 and retail theft, and that's what we want. We don't want to pay more for our goods because people are stealing them. We want a safe society. We want to be able to earn a decent living, afford the necessities, and maybe a few luxuries and stuff along the way, housing, nice car, be able to take the kids on a vacation, buy them some decent clothes and toys. Have a fun life. Go to Glamis or Reno or the mountains or Disneyland when you could afford it. Now you can't even hardly afford to live. Wrong one. There we go. That'll do it for today. Mandatory, you're back here in 23 Hours Live. Best darn show in the whole wide world. Oh man, till then, see ya.
All right. Have a great night.
Got it.